Here we are, ladies and gentlemen. It's April 2nd, the day that we have been talking about for multiple weeks right now. And as it stands, it looks like we might have been right here. We told you guys over a month ago, April 2nd, look for it. Everyone's going to be super bearish. Watch us pump on that day. And so far, it is looking like we had it right on the spot, but it's a little bit more time today before we can conclusively say April 2nd was bullish. What is the future next couple of hours going to look like? On today's show, we're going to talk about all the news you need to know about that are affecting the tariff markets, affecting the stock market, affecting the crypto market. We are going to, hopefully, as long as Orange Man is on time, be watching the press conference at 4 p.m. That's right, you heard me right. Long show today because as long as he doesn't wait until like 6 or 7 p.m. tonight, we will be covering all of the news tonight from the White House on what the tariff information actually is. We'll monitor how the markets respond. You do not want to go anywhere. Stick around. We are here with us for the long haul. Smash the like if you're a friend of the channel. If you're brand new, thank you so much for clicking on the video. Stick around to the end, and if you enjoy it, please hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss any of our content. Turn on that notification bell, everybody. But first, we got to roll the intro. How is everybody doing today? Welcome to the Investing Bros live show. It's 3 p.m. I see some questions about this morning stream. Meek Vision said, Tim, you were short this AM. How did that go? Well, we weren't short the whole time. You have to find out here in a little bit. We'll talk trade talk a little later. NCR Legend also said, Tim, did you lose your trade this morning? We did, in fact, not lose our trade this morning. Today has been a very beneficial, bullish day for the trading markets. And guess what? In today's show, because we're waiting on Trump, I didn't want to say his name. Orange Timmy. Man. Because we're waiting on Orange Man, and who knows how long we have to wait on him, we might do some live trading during the show today as we're waiting for that press conference. Anyway, I got two beautiful looking men here with me. We are all matching our hats today. I love it. Someday we'll match shirts. This one's on me. I'm wearing black. You guys are wearing blue. You did not tell me. And so I really put this on you guys. Smay, how are you doing today?
Well, Tim, I hate to correct you on my shirt color, but this is, in fact, gray. I'm in a blue-lit room, so it appears blue, but it is, in fact, gray. That's all right. Colors can be hard, but I'm doing great, Tim. How are you?
Someone changed the poll in chat. That is a freaking blue shirt, Smay. Don't try to gaslight us into thinking something different. That's blue. Tshroom, how are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing better than I deserve, Tim. I really am.
Good.
Getting very excited about the Gators versus the Auburn basketball game this weekend.
Ooh.
Very excited for my Gators to take the dub and head into the NCAA National Championships, where they will hopefully win.
Very cool stuff. Guys, stick with us. Long show today. Long show. Don't go anywhere. Smash like buttons as best you can. Share the stream with other people. A whole lot to get into, but let's start off just diving right in to the economic data. That's so very important. What's going on there? We're going to check out the S&P 500, Bitcoin, just look at the macro perspective here, and then we have a lot more to talk about. Tshroom, I know you're the button pusher today because Smay is quitting on us, I think. Why don't you go ahead and push some buttons and tell us what's going on in the economy?
Absolutely. Well, we've got a huge update coming later today. We're going to be covering it live at 4 p.m. from the Rose Garden, asking the question, will a final hour curveball be thrown by Orange Man? We shall have to just wait and see. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. U.S. ADP non-farm employment change of March came in at 155,000. The expectation was 118, and the previous was just 77K. So this is actually good news for laborers in the United States. Maybe not so great if you're hoping that the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, will cut rates. Because good news here is bad news for risk assets. But will it be enough to really turn the needle? We'll have to see how the market digests that. But, Tim, that is essentially what we're looking at here from an economic standpoint. What are you expecting Orange Man to discuss in today's Rose Garden address?
Yeah, I mean, so effectively what we know at this point is that he's decided what he wants to do. He knows what he wants to talk about tonight. I was on earlier, and I think this video is probably live right now or coming out here very soon. I was on with Paul Barron earlier today, and he showed me some clips, and we were going through some of the stuff, and I'm going to echo some things I said on his video. And it's pretty much the only thing that Trump knows is that he wants to win every single negotiation he goes into, right? So like him, love him, hate him, whatever you want to do, he thinks he holds all the cards. Whether he does or not, that's yet to be seen. But nothing is off the table. I mean, he is the type of man who, if he gets a call here at 3:59, he's going to take that call. He's going to be late to the press conference. He'll change up everything that's going on because ultimately, this whole tariff move is a part of who he is as a president. Anyone who voted for him for these reasons because he wrote a book called The Art of the Deal. He's a great negotiator. Again, like him, love him, hate him, whatever. You can't argue with that. And so these tariff stories are going to keep coming in. If you think the tariff news is over today, think again. We are far from over from hearing more about tariffs. He is going to negotiate with every country individually, and he's going to make sure that, in his opinion, America comes out on top every single time. Okay, so what I'm anticipating to hear is pretty much him echo something like that. I think that a lot of people have some fear in mind. I think some people have some good news in mind. We've heard from Israel that Israel's not going to be, they're going to be removing all tariffs. Canada has come out today pretty much saying, hey, we'll remove all of our tariffs if you remove all of your tariffs. Mexico has said we're not going to retaliate against the United States no matter what they decide to do. It really is only this next country we're about to get into that seems to be pushing on U.S. and Orange Man here a little bit. And I want to, before I say anything about it, I want you to kind of set that up there, Tshroom. There's a country right now with a headline that's scaring some people. Is it FUD? Is it fact? What does it mean? What's going on with China?
Well, Tim, there's a FUD alert that's been issued by the Investing Bros Twitter account. Go and check us out at Investing Bros. China restricts companies from investing in the U.S. That's the headline that was sent out on Bloomberg. But when you drill down into the details and actually read the article and the breakdown, it's a little more complicated than that. The context is that a quote from the article says, there's no sign that existing commitments by Chinese companies in the U.S. and elsewhere or Chinese purchases and holdings of financial products, including U.S. Treasuries, would be affected. This is from The People, which is being referred to as the people of China. So what has been said is that several branches of China's top economic planning agency, the National Development and Reform Commission, have been instructed in recent weeks to hold off on registration and approval for firms that are looking to invest in these United States, The People said, asking not to be identified discussing sensitive issues. So this is ultimately a FUD, right? And it's fake FUD. It's not really something that you should be concerned about. Has there been a downturn in potential motivation for the CCP party leaders to invest in the United States and have the domestic banks there invest in the United States? That seems to be true, right? But by no means are current investments, current development plans, and foreign domestic investment from China being stopped or canceled. But Tim, I want to get your reaction to this story because this was all over the news this morning and some people were a little bit more fearful. What is the result for retail here when they see this kind of FUD, and what did you think?
Yeah, I think you hit it right on the head, Tshroom. This is a headline put out there that wants to scare investors. Again, does that mean for certain that means the price is going to shoot up here? I don't necessarily think guaranteed, but I think there's a good chance that a headline like this comes out and is phrased in a certain way to make people convinced that the trade war with China is going to be very, very aggressive, very harsh. Here's the thing. America and China are the two most powerful countries in the world. They have the most power going into any negotiation with any country that they go into. They hold the majority of the cards. But neither the United States nor China wants to piss off the other country, right? So are there probably some backdoor conversations happening? Is there negotiation happening between China and the United States? Absolutely. And is it possible that China's saying, hey, you know what? One of our cards is we can discourage people from or discourage our companies from investing in America. We know that's one of the things the president of the United States wants us to do, or wants us to have companies investing in there. We can discourage that until we have some more favorable negotiation talks. That's exactly what this is. Look for stories on the relationship between China and U.S. to continue to develop over the next couple of weeks, next couple of months. It'll feel at times like it's really tight. It'll feel at times like it's really good. This is ultimately, I think, a fun story to discourage investors, to make them bearish. All the while, so far today, both the crypto and the stock markets have been going to the upside despite all of this FUD. But with that said, let's go ahead and jump in here and check out what is happening with some of these stocks. This morning, people were freaking out as we were live trading. We could always go live trading at 9 a.m. I'll talk about Bitcoin trading here in a little bit, by the way. Some people were asking earlier, how did trades go this morning? Big wins, right? Very good trades going on this morning, but we will talk more about that later. You know, the big talk was that yesterday, this is the S&P 500, okay? We closed out yesterday up here at 56.32. And then this morning, we opened almost 1% lower than our closing, causing a lot of people to freak out. But if you remember from this morning's live show, I told everybody, don't be surprised to see us quickly close the gap, shoot to the upside. It's a good example, a good reason for the whales to buy the dip and then push the price back up. And we shot all the way back up to a level I told people, I said 5,700. We haven't quite gotten to 5,700 here just yet, but I told people to watch 5,700 as the next level of resistance. After that, if we can break through, we're looking at 5,800, and then you can go a lot higher with a falling wedge pattern. Not that I think that's necessarily going to happen, but this has happened. The bullish play out that we predicted this morning has gone right according to schedule. Does not change anything about what we've said the last couple of days about the S&P 500. While we are seeing a nice bullish push here, do we have an official buy signal? Let's zoom out here for a second, guys. Give me a second on the S&P 500. We had this green reversal way back here. We have bullish momentum and positive money flow. So we are under kind of a rough buy signal here on the S&P 500. And that's where the next level up, 5,800, could get very intriguing. Can we break through 5,700? Can we break through this descending level of resistance in this falling wedge formation? Can we make our way up to 5,800? That would be very, very good. The reality is we could go a lot higher than that. Ultimately, the height that we really could get to if we get a successful breakout would be actually up here towards 6,000 once again. Doesn't mean that the bull market's back on. Doesn't mean the S&P 500 can't take a little bit of a splash. We also could just go ahead and reject here at 5,700 and start heading down. The key levels I'm watching right now, I still think 5,400 is going to be an interesting spot to keep an eye on for the S&P 500 in this falling channel. If that is lost, a major spot to look for pulling back to all the way back down towards 5,100 is still absolutely on the table. And if Bitcoin does what we've talked about it doing, where it maybe rallies up to 90K and then falls back down towards 74, could we see the stock market make a move like that and revisit some levels that we haven't seen since August of 2024? Now, the other day, the president of the United States, some people were in chat saying, why are we calling him Orange Man? Why don't we call him this? We'll call him the president. We'll call him Orange Man. We call his children the Tangerines because that's what you guys in chat voted on the other day. Either way, he said something the other day. He said that Wall Street doesn't need to be worried, that Wall Street will be fine. And something that I think people should be aware of, even if we get this disastrous fall to 5,000, I want to be very clear here on the S&P 500. These are levels that, yes, back in spring of 2024, you might be in a little loss. If you bought the peak at 5,200 back in April of 2024, you might be temporarily in loss. But even if we get that pretty severe pullback, that would be a pullback on the S&P 500 of roughly 16%. You look out, you zoom out. Let's pretend we even get a 20% pullback, which is normal for little recessionary periods on the S&P 500. 20% would bring us all the way down here, kind of closer towards 4,800. You're still talking about getting back to resistance, former resistance of December 2021. You would not even be in loss over a 4-year period on the S&P 500. So when he says here they will be fine, I don't think he's saying there won't be further blood down the road. Because again, if we are entering into further trade wars, if we are seeing recessionary type of situations unpack here, we could absolutely have a 20% finished pullback on the S&P 500 and still be more bullish than we were 4 years ago, still have a very long-term profitable economy, even within a bear market, even within a recessionary period. That's kind of what he's getting at there right now. But for right now, what I am going to say is we called this pretty well this morning. We said look out for 5,700 for resistance. Can we break through and get to 58, or are we going to pull back and head back down towards 54? That is the question on the S&P 500. Now, before we get into Bitcoin technical analysis, people were asking earlier, how did trades go this morning? And I want to go over to show you on my Blofin exchange here. Go back to my screen, Tshroom. We had a couple trades go well for us today. First of all, we did enter a short earlier in today's show. We did not quite get our full level here, though. We had an almost perfect entry on our short position this morning. We had a desire to come all the way down towards 84,000, but some of you who were with me live when we were trading it, we didn't like this symmetrical triangle pattern. Oop, didn't mean to go there. And we ended up bailing right out here about 85.4. So profitable short trade. Then we entered another short trade. And this is what I think some people are thinking about right now. We entered a short trade right here on 85.7. We put our stop loss somewhere up here. I don't remember the exact level, but 86, give or take. Right, somewhere in the $86,000 level. Let me stretch this out. And we did lose this trade. But if you guys were with us live, we hedged this morning because I did not like this symmetrical triangle pattern. This was a pattern I thought could go to the upside. So we hedged with a long position, right? So we lost this trade, lost like 200 something bucks, I think. But we longed this almost perfectly with an entry right here around 85.6. We put our stop loss down at 85.4. We put our take profit up here at 87.290, I believe. Look at how perfect that was. We wicked above, corrected. And now today, I want you guys to be aware, we are watching for another long this afternoon. You will see me from time to time watching my charts. We got some big liquidation levels down here below us. If I turn this stuff on, let's go ahead. There is some big liquidations even lower that could be interesting. But on this 1 minute chart, some big liquidations that could take us down here. There we go. We're picking up some more as we're going. So we'll have to keep monitoring this. But 85,900. I am looking for a long position here at 85,900. I do believe that still is possible. That's kind of the lowest range of this zone that could stay in support. I'm going to have my stop loss here still at 85.4. But I am longing right now. I do want to long the market. I still think there's a very good chance before this live stream is over, we start to make a push up towards $88,000. That's where I'm going to have to take profit. So we'll stick with you on these trades. We'll let you know what is happening. But for now, keep an eye on that 15-minute smart trail. Keep an eye on some heavy liquidations right in this area around 85,900. That is what we're looking for a long position. If we lose this, then we will be aware. I'm not emotionally trading here. We're going to be ready for this. We'll look for a short position to take ourselves back down towards $84,000. Even though I'm bullish, I have a bullish bias at the moment. I do believe the markets want to respond to the upside. I want to make money, and money means you stay flexible, you stay ready. Anything is technically possible. But let's start with reasons why I'm bullish right now on Bitcoin. Looking at the longer term charts here, like the daily and the 2-daily chart. Now, this is a resistance level that we have been under since January 20th, right? The day that Orange Man took office, became the president of the United States. We're not trying to say his name because we don't want YouTube to punish the channel anymore, right? We're going to give the name a little bit of a rest. We have been under this red resistance level ever since then, right? Several rejections there at the end of January, once again here at the end of February, another rejection here in March. But now that we're in April, we have made a move that's not quite bullish just yet, so don't get ahead of yourselves. But for the first time, we have broken above this level of resistance cleanly, right? Now, as we're kind of flirting with it right now, we still have a couple of hours left. I think 4.5 hours, give or take, until the daily candle closes. We do need to see the daily candle close up above this red line to feel good about it. But as we're kind of flirting with this level that at one point was support, then was turned into resistance, and now we're working on turning it back into support, right there in line with that red descending level of resistance. This is keeping me extremely bullish right now. You guys know weeks ago, we predicted back in early March, we predicted don't be surprised to see a move up towards 91, 92,000. We said April 2nd, people are going to treat it like it's a bearish situation, but it's actually going to be a buying event. And sure enough, right now, as we are standing, unless major support is lost here, that is looking like it was a very true statement. The reason I felt so passionately about that was because of both, didn't mean to go away from there, because of both a daily buy signal on the Luxalgo system and a 2-daily buy signal on Luxalgo, with the target coming in here all the way up here at $91,400 at the moment. It could go all the way up here towards 94, but I think 91, 92, hitting some former support, turning to resistance, absolutely still on the table. While I personally still think that we have 74K to go, and that's because of our 2-weekly sell signal that we have from Luxalgo, I will be willing to change my opinion on that. It seems like a lot of people have flipped bullish here. If we can make a break above this 94 and we can start to press back towards $100,000 is my line in the sand. You're asking me when I'll give up on 74, 72,000. If we break back above 100K and we form a real bullish trajectory with higher highs once again, then I will take 74K off the table. I will say the 2-weekly sell signal ended up being false. But until that happens, I still think there's a scenario, ladies and gentlemen, in which case we get a little bit of a fake out here. We go up towards 91, maybe 92,000. People get really bullish all over again, and then we start to pull back down towards 74, 72,000. As long as we stay above that 2-weekly smart trail here at 66, I remain long-term bullish on the bull market. So if you're asking a question, Tim, when do you get bearish long-term? We got to lose 66,000. I don't even think we go to 66,000, but that's what I need to lose to feel bearish on the markets right now. I'm bullish today. I'm bullish for probably the next couple of days. I'm bearish for probably the next couple of weeks to maybe next couple of months. But long term, I'm still expecting a major bull market to hit sometime during 2025. That more than likely carries us into 2026. And we're seeing all of these charts continue to unfold in that manner. Before I let you go here on Bitcoin, a couple other things I want to let you guys know about on the charts. And then we're going to transition to some of our other stories. Right now, resistance to the upside. I told you earlier, I'm trading to 88K. If we get above there, I might look for another long position somewhere above 89 to get up here towards 91.5, 92,000. If we start to move to the downside, 84,000 is still a strong level of support. If we lose this zone, 80,000 continues to be on the table as a potential. We could still pull back to this level and have a bullish breakout to 90K. If we lose 79.9 or pretty much $80,000. If the markets do take a turn down here, well, at that point, forget 90,000. We are making our move, going ahead and hitting that 74, 72,000 I just talked about. So keep your eyes on these key support and resistance levels. Something else to be monitoring right now. Altcoin season, it's not here. We're going to talk about altcoins here in a second. Doesn't mean altcoins can't rally. Some of them are rallying. But just as we predicted a couple days ago, we had formed an ascending triangle here on the Bitcoin dominance chart. Now, for the last couple of days, we have confirmed several candles closing above that resistance. Looks like we are very much making our way back up towards 64% or possibly even higher. We'll keep you posted on the Bitcoin dominance chart. This does not mean rallies can't happen. Again, the last time before true altcoin season happened, if you go all the way back here, let's turn off Luxalgo to eliminate some noise. If you go back to September to December of 2020, before altcoin season, January 2021, everything skyrocketed. Bitcoin Diamond skyrocketed. Bitcoin skyrocketed like 300%. Altcoins went up like 150, 160%. Then the alts took off as Bitcoin cooled off. We are not in altcoin season just yet. It is delayed. It's part of our theory. The 4-year cycle is officially over. That does not mean alts won't rally someday. It just means right now it's not quite time to start expecting your altcoins to just make fireworks in your portfolio. It's still a Bitcoin season. Bitcoin still is king. We'll let you know when that changes. You can go off my screen now, Tshroom. But speaking of those altcoins, while you guys are smashing the like button, we're going to be transitioning to altcoins here in a second, but I want to bring Smay up. First of all, Smay, what are the likes at right now? We have almost 1,000 people watching here on YouTube. Love seeing those numbers come back up. What are our likes at right now?
Well, Tim, we are only at 175 as of me last refreshing my screen just now.
Oh, no.
So, guys, come on. You can do way better than that. Okay, so go ahead. We have how many people watching right now? We got almost 1,000 people watching. We can get that likes. We could get up to let's get 500 likes. 500.
Before we transition into altcoin news, Smay, you're going to be our new. We're trying to target out how do we get Smay more into the show. You guys love Smay. Smay is going to be the voice of the people here. He's going to be vocalizing your guys' thoughts. So make sure you're asking questions throughout the show. Tag Smay, tag the Investing Bros channel. Smay, 2 questions. Let's time for 2 chat questions. This is all on your shoulders. What's the 2 most important questions to ask right now?
Absolutely. Well, Tim, real quick, let's go ahead and sneak in a third one here. You said it in the chat, but I just want to reiterate. Some people are asking. The doctor in particular says, curious why bros are referring to the president as Orange Man, as they always refer to him as President Blank. Can you just, for the people just tuning in, can you give them just real quick?
Yeah. Yeah. So we, believe it or not, even though you see the three of us and then Crux, we probably have, I don't know, 8, 9 people on payroll, kind of building behind the scenes to do things. I don't want to not pay people money for hard work. YouTube seems to not like when we mention Orange Man by name. Doesn't like if we get too political. So we're being good little boys and we're going to play by rules. We're not going to be so political here on YouTube. We're gonna kind of tap our toes around some situations. We still have to talk about it because it affects your price action, but that's the reason why. If you want to hear more of our thoughts, maybe go check out our Discord or X. But here on YouTube, you will hear us kind of dancing around some things, just trying to make sure to play by YouTube's rules and keep our employees employed. Thank you guys so much, by the way, for supporting the channel and being able to let all of us do this full time for you guys to keep you up to date. So good question. That's the reason why.
All right, moving on. We have from Kinkles89 says, what is Liberation Day?
Liberation Day. Tshroom, why don't you take this one? What's Liberation Day?
Liberation Day is an American concept that has been developed by the current commander-in-chief of the United States military. You can fill in the blank who that is. It's Orange Man. And Liberation Day to Americans who have ascended this leader by going to the polls and ascending him, we believe, that Liberation Day is something that is coming to the United States. It's been long awaited, and that there has been fruits, profits, revenues that has essentially been enjoyed by rich people that are not in the United States, that control industries like agriculture and oil and steel manufacturing and EV manufacturing outside of the United States. They have enjoyed very low rates of taxes or tariff when trying to import goods into the United States, exporting it from their countries. The current leader is looking to liberate us from that oppression, right, would be one of the words you could use, oppression from our local domestic producers of steel, of EVs, of agriculture products, and of manufactured goods. So that's what Liberation Day is all about. It's about empowering local producers of commodities and even finished goods. It's an experiment, right? Something like this type of high tariff, aggressive tariff policy hasn't really been tried since before the initiation of the Fed and the income tax. So before 1913, you haven't had an aggressive tariff policy. But in the first term of Orange Man, there was an uptick in tariffs, and that ended up going pretty well, one could say. But what the current White House cabinet is planning now with Howard Lutnick at the Commerce Secretary and Scott Bessent at the Treasury, what they've architected, what they've built, and what they're planning to roll out, and the announcement we'll be hearing about here in just a few minutes, is it's a liberation, and it's something that may not work, right? It's something that you're going to have to get buy-in from domestic manufacturing, from American employee, like the labor is going to have to want to go work in manufacturing and accept, a different type of wage and a different type of working condition. And also, obviously, foreign nations are going to have to play ball as well. So there's going to be a needle to thread here. Obviously, you can throw in the Treasury situation. One of the ultimate goals is to get the interest rates down. There's a lot going into this, but it's an economic liberation where we are becoming less dependent on imports, and we are going to be able to move into a future that is better, that is brighter, because of the work that's being done by the administration who was voted in at a very high rate. So
there we go.
That's what it means to me.
In a shorter version, we did have someone in chat. Let me read back to this one. I think it was Baba Yaz says, liberate you from your money also is Liberation Day. That is definitely how some people interpret these tariffs. With that said, let's go ahead and get back into it. Smay, good to see you. Keep it around. Get those chats ready for us. We'll have more Q&A later. Tshroom, it's time to get into altcoin conversations. And this is an altcoin that people are sleeping on. The first one we're going to start off with here. People have been sleeping on this altcoin, and yet it still has made people a lot of money. BNB with a headline today. What do you got for us with BNB?
I'll show you what I got on BNB, Tim. It is this. Van Eck filed to establish a trust entity for the VanEck BNB ETF in Delaware just a few days ago, March 31st. So BNB joins Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and Avalanche as the 5th cryptocurrency to have a standalone ETF registration in Delaware. So it's unique in that way. Investors will be watching for the 19B4 form to be filed as the next step towards the actual ETF. So what is VanEck doing here? They're essentially laying the groundwork for an ETF to be filed in the most American, sophisticated, compliant way that you can, which is to be a Delaware corp, and then file for the ETF in the New York Stock Exchange or NASDAQ in that way. So that is it. Now, to clarify, does that make it better than the Bitcoin ETF? Does it make it more sturdy or better returns? In my opinion, not at all, right? The only reason I would care if it's an ETF from a Delaware corp is if I'm a highfalutin lawyer who's really interested in that type of compliance law. So, which I'm not.
Cool. Very, very cool there. Let's take out the charts on BNB real quickly. After this, we're going to check in on Solana. I haven't looked on Solana in a while, but look at BNB. You might be looking at this and saying, all right, Tim, it's like, that's cool chart, nothing special, except for the fact that you're looking at, we're on the daily chart, and this peak over here is May of 2021. That peak is November of 2021. BNB is one of the few altcoins right now that is holding up extremely well. And yes, while it has been pulling back here since December, look at the level it's only down, right? Ethereum's down more than 50%. BNB is only down 24% from all-time highs. This coin has been holding value extremely well. Is BNB going to be your greatest return on investment? Probably not. Right? If you were to go from here, we had a couple of predictions, I think, and we did a video on it, it was a while ago, but we talked about a bearish prediction, 1,200, maybe 3,000 realistic, and then maybe 589 in a crazy bullish situation, right? If you were to invest right now, we're talking about pretty much doubling your money in a bearish bull market, right? We only get to $6 trillion in market cap for crypto. We're only going to 1,200, double your money. Realistically, 3,000, I think, is on the table. We're talking about a 5X, right? So not a terrible investment whatsoever, but that's kind of what we're looking at right now. But when you think about risk to reward ratio, there's not a lot of coins out there, with the exception of Bitcoin, that you would say have less risk associated with it than Binance Coin, BNB. So maybe this is another one people need to be adding to their portfolio to manage some of the recent risk in the crypto space. It's doing very, very well. Let's check out what the technicals are saying on BNB. We'll just kind of stay out on daily and 2 daily and maybe weekly chart here. Won't go too far in depth at the moment, but we are under a little bit of a falling, if I can get this correctly, a little bit of a falling resistance level here. Let's go back to these lines. Whether I want to cut through that wick or not, you kind of could say that is our level of resistance. We do need to break through to resume bullishness. Let's see where we have some smart trails. After having a buy signal way back here, we did come up. We rejected on that daily smart trail. Do we have a buy signal on the 2 day chart? We don't, right? So we don't have that buy signal out there. But what I'm going to be very interested in seeing here, because I'm seeing it on the 2 daily chart, we have some bullish divergence on the 2 daily chart. What about the weekly chart? If we start to zoom out here, a lot of cryptos are coming in and posting some bullish divergences. And sure enough, Binance Coin is doing the same right here. Let's just look at the RSI, for example, where we have put in lower lows right here. You take a look at the MACD. We put in some lower lows. During the price action, though, in that same timeline, we have put in higher lows. This is weekly bullish divergence. We're very close on Binance to getting a weekly buy signal. In fact, you zoom in there. As long as this week closes bullish, that is positive money flow. Pair that with this green reversal, the bullish divergence, the bullish momentum, and all of a sudden we're cooking with grease here, saying BNB really should make its way back up towards 730, 740 levels we were just at back in December. So BNB coin looking very good. Got that weekly buy signal from the Lux Algo indicator. You love to see it. Let's transition, though, into another coin that is, again, a long-term hold in my opinion. It's a good risk-to-reward ratioed coin, meaning low risk in my personal opinion, very high reward, and that is Solana. We haven't done a lot of Solana TA here recently, so let's get in and take a look at that, starting off here on the daily chart. We are trading at resistance of a falling wedge channel, dating back here to January 20th when we did hit that high. Solana got up here almost to $300. We've been putting in lower highs and lower lows ever since then, but this is a very bullish formation. If the breakout happens correctly and we do get a clean break, this could very well send the price of Solana back up above $200. Very key here because a former support level and key resistance level is going to be here on 178, 180. That's going to be very important for Solana to get above to reclaim a bullish structure of higher highs and higher lows. When I'm looking at it here, let's turn on some Luxago indicators. We have a daily buy signal that has not yet been hit. That target is going to be in the world of 160, give or take. We have a 2 daily buy signal on the way. See here, if you look at the Luxago oscillator, we don't have the positive money flow yet, but whenever you see that bright pink, that bright red, that is the excessive sellers building up a bubble that when that bubble pops, we should get a nice boost and jump to the upside. When we get that level, all of a sudden, that is going to take us up towards that 178 key resistance level. But what about that weekly chart on Solana? How are we looking over here? Kind of like we saw with BNB. Do we have that bullish divergence that we saw over there? And it's going to be kind of interesting to keep an eye on here because technically speaking, we're bottoming in pretty similar places to where we were bottoming in the summer of 2024, right? So we have come back down to the same lows of 2024. But technically speaking, even though this isn't strong divergence, it's called weak bullish divergence. If we can get a pop back up and we can get some white candles going, this whole time, the RSI has been tricking to the downside. The MACD, I said tricking, has been moving to the downside. These lower lows, the Luxago oscillator has been putting in those lower lows, but the actual price action, we're pretty much coming just even. This is what we would call a weak bullish divergence. Again, I would much rather see a higher low in price action, but bullish divergence is bullish divergence. If that is the case on the weekly chart, it has a target for us way up here. Where are we sitting with a buy signal coming? Not yet a buy signal. We do have the green reversals. But the target we're looking at, if we can confirm that bullish divergence, would be somewhere up towards 217, well above that very key 180 that needs to be recaptured for bullish structure. Keep your eyes on Solana. First thing we want to do, though, get out of this jam. Get above this resistance. If we cannot do that, look for a pullback on Solana still to potentially make its way down. If Bitcoin starts to fall, we easily could make our way down towards $100 on Solana before we get the next bounce based off this falling level of support we've been under since April 2024. Okay, so there's your Solana update. It does look very good. There is a lot of promise to say bulls want to mount a rally, but you don't count your chickens before they hatch. Let's get the bullish breakout. Let's get back up to 150. Let's get above 180, and all of a sudden, Solana could be taken back off to new all-time highs before you know it. There is our Solana technical analysis of the day. Stick around, though, guys, because this is going to be a long show. We will be covering the press conference at 4 o'clock where all the details of the tariffs will be announced. And just in case Orange Man, President of the United States, is late, which he often is for these press conferences, we will be watching charts. We will be looking at trade setups. Let me go check out and make sure I don't have my trade set up for Bitcoin just yet. I am waiting on 85,900. But with that said, let's transition back into some other stories. And we have a story coming from Fidelity that's very intriguing that might not spark short-term bullishness, but long-term holders should be very excited about what this could mean for crypto prices. Tshroom, for more on that, what do you have from Fidelity today?
Absolutely. Well, Fidelity is announced launching retirement plan allowing direct crypto investments. Fidelity is a $6 trillion asset manager. Now, before we went live, but not before this tweet went out, I was informed by one of our researchers, Matt C., that 3 cryptos are available. It is Ethereum, Bitcoin, and Tim, can you guess the third coin? Let us know in the chat. What do you think the third coin that is available? So, Tim, we got to give him a second to answer, see if anybody gets it right. But in the meantime, give me your take on this. It's a huge unlock of adoption, and that can funds that can go directly on chain to buy at least Bitcoin and Ethereum that we know of, and one more coin. Let me know what it is in the chat. Tim, what do you think about this adoption unlock?
I mean, long-term, very good. As people are thinking about their long-term retirement portfolios. Like recently, we partnered with Bitcoin IRA, which is another great way for all of you guys to plan out your retirement and use cryptocurrency to fight against a dying and inflating U.S. dollar, no matter what happens here. To see a company like Fidelity also move in that direction and say, hey, guys, you want to protect your long-term wealth? This crypto thing is not a hoax. It's not a joke. we're going to give you offerings to get in there. I would have to imagine my pick, again, because I don't know. I see a lot of people putting what I would believe to be in there. I'd have to imagine the top two choices after Bitcoin and Ethereum, they're not going to get too sexy with it. Probably just going to go to XRP or Solana. I would love to be long. I would love for it to be Chainlink, right? If it was Chainlink, it would just make my heart pound very heavily and be very happy. What is that third coin that they're offering here?
It's Litecoin. Litecoin is the third coin, and I would love to be able to find the proof for that. But we're only operating off of what Matt C told me before we went live, so there's a chance.
I don't think a single person in chat guessed that.
No, someone did. Michael D.
You
did.
saw? Yeah. Okay, maybe. I didn't see it, but maybe missed this.
Here we go. This is CoinDesk reported 4 hours ago. Fidelity has launched a no-fee crypto IRA that allows U.S. adults to invest in Bitcoin, Ether, and Litecoin. So there you go.
Very intriguing.
Somebody at Litecoin did a great job of convincing
If you
Fidelity.
still hold Litecoin, put a 1 in chat. Litecoin for the win today. I don't hold Litecoin. Never held Litecoin. Kyle says, I've been preaching Litecoin since I first started watching y'all. So, Kyle, good preaching.
There you go.
Man. You good call there. Fidelity thinks you're absolutely right.
If you're just tuning into investing, just thinking about investing and getting into crypto for the first time, I would not necessarily take this as I'm going to go out and buy a bunch of Litecoin. Litecoin definitely not the worst altcoin out there. It's a fork of Bitcoin, right? So, it's a good sturdy chain. But the thing is it doesn't have much momentum and doesn't have much growth potential in my opinion. But I could be wrong, right? I could definitely be wrong. So. That's my thoughts on that. Good for Fidelity.
Very cool.
Great for crypto. It's a pretty big day.
Very, very cool. Well, good story. Good story from Fidelity. Everybody make sure to smash that like button. We're going to bring Smay back up. It's time to go back into some chat. Smay, the new voice of the people, the voice of chat. Make sure to tag him, tag the Investing Bros with any questions you guys have. Do not go anywhere. The show is nowhere close to being over, right? We are going to be covering the press conference at 4 o'clock live. Hopefully he is on time. Don't have high hopes. If he is not on time, we'll do a whole lot of Q&A, a lot of trade talk. We'll look at a lot of charts. So you do not want to go anywhere. But until then, Smay, what is the chat talking about right now? What are they asking?
There's not a whole lot of questions, a lot of talk, a lot of excitement over guessing this coin. Michael D did, in fact, guess Litecoin. But I have a few questions from earlier. Really, most of the questions. Oh, well, actually, real quick, we have a super chat here just now coming in from Shizzy. Says, is XRP basically a meme coin at this point? With stable coins flying on fast chains, what's the real use case anymore?
Is XRP basically a meme coin? No, it's definitely not a meme coin. And I'll tell you this, Shizzy, I am not going to pretend to be the fundamental expert on cryptocurrency, right? You're not going to probably ever catch this guy right here building on a blockchain, right? I'm an investor, right? I'm going to follow the charts. I'm going to follow the news. I'm going to pay attention to the sentiment. I'll pay attention to the level 1 elements of fundamentals that give you an understanding. Is this good or is this bad? So Crux might be the one to answer this a lot more in depth. But in a nutshell, XRP is still going to be heavily, heavily utilized, especially by banks. And we're watching a lot of large institutions partner with Ripple, partner with XRP. It is one I can't give you every little minute detail about how it's going to continue to pump, but the way people are pouring money into it, the way whales are pouring money into it. I said earlier, XRP, along with BNB, one of the best performing assets over the last couple of weeks, holding its store of value. If it was a meme coin, if it was a joke, if institutions didn't believe in it, they would be dumping it hard right now, just like a lot of other altcoins are dumping. So fundamentally, it's going to be working heavily with money transactions. Can I tell you the exact details, how it's going to work out and why it's going to be different than stable coins and others? No, I probably can't get into all those that would suffice what you're looking for. But what I can tell you is when you study the charts and you study the fundamentals and you listen to the people with big pocketbooks talk about it, it's hard to not remain extremely bullish on XRP. But thank you for the super chat.
We have another super chat coming.
Before you get
to
the next one, it's funny. Jason said Brad Garlic Breath is in charge. That's funny. What's not funny, but something you should listen to, is this. This is our fundamentals channel. This is what Crux does over at Alpha Bros. You can go check them out. Just search Alpha Bros in Google. XRP to explode. Ripple's master plan exposed. This is Crux's take on XRP and how it relates to the Swift network and everything like that, don't hesitate. If you're interested in XRP, it sounds like Shizzy you are. Definitely go check it out over there on Alpha Bros, our fundamentals channel.
Shizzy followed up. He said, why would a bank use XRP when it can lose 5% of the value in a few minutes? By the way, they're not necessarily having to wholly invest in it, although I think a lot of them will. Their whole entire portfolio can go up by 5% in a few minutes as well. But they're going to use the technology that Ripple's presented, that XRP, the token, represents, right? That's a big deal. It is cryptocurrency. Yes, certain coins can be used strictly for currency. Like Bitcoin, I don't really see being utilized heavily for anything other than store of value. But a lot of other cryptocurrencies, XRP included, it's technology, right? And people will utilize the technology. And the more heavily a technology is utilized, the more people will invest in it. And of course, it is still a cryptocurrency, so it will have currency movements as well. But as a whole, remember, when you're investing in altcoin space, it's not like you're trading fiat tokens, right? We're not talking about trading back and forth in Forex. We are talking about investing in both currency and technology developments. Someone else asked, like, why XRP? Like, doesn't every other coin do what XRP does? Again, if you're kind of on the outside like me in terms of the technology side of it, yeah, I'm not going to know the ins and outs of every little detail of the fundamentals. But here's what I also know. You can make the argument that a lot of coins do what Bitcoin does even better. Why are they not bigger than Bitcoin? Because people are using Bitcoin. At the end of the day, if I have 100 different things that can do the same thing, I don't need 100 different things. I choose one. And if the masses are choosing one over the others, it doesn't matter if all of them are great. Which one is the one being chosen over and over and over and over again? Okay. In this case, people are choosing Bitcoin for their massive store of value. And then when you look at these institutions and you're looking at banks and how they want to move forward with cryptocurrency, this new technology, they're choosing Ripple and XRP. I don't make the rules. I just follow the rules. That's how I operate.
Right.
All right. Well, on that note, just to touch on these next two super chats. So we have Nathan Roberts gave $2, says Render Network token holders increasing fast. I don't know what that means and if that means anything to you, Tim.
Just Render. I mean, Render is our AI pick we've made here. I still like FET. I still like Near as well. But if you guys have watched any of my recent videos, and I suggest people be exposed to different niches, AI is a niche you should be exposed to. And my coin of choice, and full transparency, it's the one that I own. So you can accuse me of pumping my own bags. That's fine. It's the one that I like. I think Render is one that's going to have a long-term success. And he's absolutely right. Again, do we need to get into the details of what Render does and doesn't do? We can. And Crux does a phenomenal job of that stuff with Alpha Bros. At the end of the day, we're here to make money and to follow the markets, and seeing things like that. Like, there's a lot of great AI plays, and yet Render is one that institutions and people just flock to over and over again. The more and more people do that, the more the price goes up. Me as an investor, I want coins that make price go up. That's what we're here tracking. That's my goal. So thank you for that super chat as well.
All right. We have a follow-up here from Shizzy. Says banks will use stable coins on Solana and fast chains, not XRP.
That's your opinion, Shizzy. Go for it. Don't invest.
Don't think so.
Don't buy it.
Say that.
Go buy Solana and stable coins. I mean, I don't know at this point. Again, this isn't about having a fundamental debate here. I would lose any fundamental debate, right? If you want to have a fundamental debate, go talk with Crux. If we want to talk price action, and we want to talk news, and we want to talk sentiment, and we want to talk about the coins that are getting adopted faster than others, I can help you out there. I can help you out with that information. But do it. Go buy Solana. Go buy other things. Don't buy XRP, Shizzy. That sounds easy.
Yeah, and I'll just say that I met with someone who'd been mining Bitcoin since 2012, right? Currently not a fan of XRP, but he said that when he looked into the white paper and he saw how XRP was constructed, it is a very sound blockchain and that it has a lot of potential, and he's not surprised why banks are attracted to it and why it's not a hard sell to bank decision makers. Since then, that individual, who I won't name, but that individual has said that the business development side has just completely failed. Like, they have not done a very good job of selling it. And the management of the coins and the tokenomics and things like that leave a lot to be desired. But that doesn't mean that there can't be a new way of thinking about the business development of a great product. Again, we're not fundamental analysts and understanding exactly, what is the best, blockchain technology. but we invest in it. We follow the market, and the market decides. And if you look at the top 5 cryptos, you see very quickly that the market has made a decision on what one of the best cryptos are. Is the market always right? No, that's also true. But this is one way to proceed in analysis.
Very, very cool. Well, let's do this. Smay. Let's get one or two coins to do some technical analysis on, and then we're going to do our factoid of the day, not the end of the show. We're going to be sticking around and waiting on old Orange Man to come out with his press conference, but let's get some technical analysis, Q&A, and then our factoid of the day. Smay, I'll let you choose based off what you're seeing in chat. What coins do you think the people want to see some technical analysis on?
Well, I mean, there's not been a whole lot of chatter about specific altcoins, but I think it would be fitting to throw perhaps XRP in the mix, as it's been of a hot topic of discussion right now. Another one maybe would be
ONDO.
ONDO. I see some ONDO here. So yeah, let's go. You know what? Let's just do ONDO.
All right, let's do XRP and ONDO, and then we're going to have our they stick around, guys. It's always fun. If you're new here, smash the like, hit subscribe. Special show here today as we're extending the show for the press conference. XRP, though, if you go to my screen, we talked about this the other day because I think we did do XRP technical analysis the other day. This was a level of support we identified a couple weeks ago. We said, hey, look at this rising level of support, this green line. Look for a movement on XRP somewhere between 206 and 194. Well, here, 2 days ago, wick down, hit that green line again. We are making moves back to the upside. So short-term support has been tested. We're making a move back to the upside. Where are we sitting at with Lux Algo? You're going to have a very slight bullish signal here. I'm not going to call it a buy signal because there's no green reversal, but we are seeing green support, green momentum come in here, and the money flow is starting to move back to the upside. I don't believe we had a sell signal. Technically, that was a sell signal right there. Let's check out where are our smart trails coming. There's nowhere in sight. Oh, my goodness. We're just ridiculously down from it. There we go. All right. So with that bullish flash, if it takes off and keeps going to the upside and we can break through this resistance here, it's not just the descending level of resistance. This is a camp as well. We identified as a very significant resistance level. We got to be back above 261. All of a sudden, XRP very easily can make its way back towards $3. $3, a level we haven't seen since back here earlier in March. What about the 2-daily chart here, though? It is bouncing off of that 2-daily smart trail right now. It's not giving us any clear bullish or bearish features. It's just continuing to say, hey, as long as we stay above here, bullish, should still make a move to the upside. But we are watching that daily chart and saying, hey, that's the one we're going to look for to say, hey, can we take off? Just like the other altcoins, let's see what the weekly chart is doing for us. We have bounced off the weekly smart trail, but I wanted to take a look at how we are performing from a position of weekly divergence. Not going to see any weekly divergence here. One of the reasons why is because the last major bottom before what we were working with right now was all the way back here at 50 cents, set back on November 4th. Again, you talk about return on investment since November 5th when Orange Man was elected president of the United States. Very hard to find a coin that has a better ROI. Since November, you are still up 330% in your XRP holdings, right? If this coin sucked, if no one was going to use it, why is it holding up so well? What's even cooler about XRP, this is a bull pennant pattern we've been talking about for a long time. Could still take a while. I mean, this pennant's out on the weekly chart, guys. Don't expect this to necessarily take off to our projection by next week, but this bull pennant pattern, take this long flagpole up to the top of that formation. You move this over to the breakout spot here. Man, it's breaking up on me. We're talking about going north of $12, almost towards $14 if this technical analysis pattern plays out. I do think $12 is on the table for XRP at the end of this bull market. I think 16 to 20 is doable, but I think realistically $12 is where I have my eyes right now for XRP, probably where I'll take some good profit on the token there. But there's our XRP technical analysis. What was the other one? We said ONDO, I think, is what people were clamoring on about. Let's take a look at ONDO. Again, I think we did this one the other day as well, but in case you were not here, ONDO in a falling channel. This is a very bullish pattern. The breakout pattern we just talked about yesterday could set us back up here towards 166. Very key level of resistance. A key level of resistance we need to get back above to reclaim our bullishness. But we did bounce very beautifully once again here 2 days ago off that support level. We are watching buy signals on the daily chart. On the 2-daily chart, how high do these buy signals go? Not quite on the 3 daily chart. We're close. With that MACD looking like it wants to cross bullish, we're getting very close to a ONDO 3 daily buy signal. But on the 2 daily chart, that is going to give us a target in the short term of making a move back up here towards $1.22. This is falling pretty quickly, right? So it could meet us before that, but that still puts us well above this descending level of resistance that we desperately need to get back above to start reclaiming that bullish nature there. Weekly chart wise, though, we're looking on bullish divergence. Sure enough, I think we talked about this maybe yesterday, but that weekly bullish divergence is very much still in play, where we are putting in lower lows on the oscillators, but higher lows in price action. You love to see it. Now, since we just did this yesterday, let me get rid of these lines here, and we'll do some 4-hour technical analysis. What could we expect maybe over the next couple of days, or what should we expect? We had this 4-hour buy signal come in here very beautifully just a couple of days ago, like 2 days ago. We have already hit the smart trail on the 4-hour chart, and we're making moves to the upside, and I don't think we're getting close to a sell signal there just yet. Which means if we continue this trajectory, the next major level of resistance sitting up above us is going to be all the way back at 94 cents. Not above this resistance, the descending level of resistance, but it would be a very good target to keep an eye on. Liquidations. Where are we sitting with liquidations? Look at the 10-minute chart for liquidations as key levels to watch how traders want to respond. A lot of stuff down below us. If we start to make some moves down, a lot of liquidity that might want to bring us back down here towards 75 cents. Let's zoom out, though. Liquidations to the upside, kind of backing up. That 94, 97 cent zone is going to be a simple trade if we start to long. If Bitcoin does go up as we think it can, if we keep going up here and head back towards 90K, don't be surprised to see ONDO make its way back up towards $1. The problem is then we hit resistance. I'll be honest with you, unless something really special happens, I think 90K, 91K on Bitcoin probably equals a 98 cent to $1 ONDO. We stay below resistance. I think Bitcoin pulls back. I think ONDO does as well. Don't be surprised to see ONDO come back down towards this 75, 74 cent mark. I think you should be able to get some more ONDO at those levels. Stick around. We're going to be doing more technical analysis on your coins. We'll be looking at some live trading setups. You guys know I said earlier, I am looking. We're going to keep bouncing here off this red line, but I'm still watching some liquidations down here south of 86,000. If I go to the 1-minute chart, let's kind of see how those are performing right now. Yeah, big level. And that one's kind of coming in here at 84.5. That's where our stop loss can be here at 85.4. We still have these big liquidation levels here on 85,920. I don't want to get too spiffy with it. I'm going to talk more about why I'm waiting for those levels here in a little bit, but Bitcoin is pumping here as we are speaking, going back up almost to $87,000. Did we miss the long? Let's talk about that here in a little bit. We're going to have some chaos ahead of us with this press conference coming literally any minute. But while we're waiting on that press conference, smash the like button and let's bring Smay back up for the factoid of the day. Some of you guys, it's your favorite time. God's Truth said, are you going live with Orange Man? Yes, we are. That is the plan. He is historically late to these things, so stick around. But let's go to our split screen. Smay, what do you have for us today in our factoid of the day? Tshroom, I don't know if you... There we go.
Smay is muted. Oh, no. Amateur
Muted
hour.
Smay.
Bah, 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 bah.
Muted
That was actually on purpose. I was lip syncing. Anyways, guys, just so you know, I don't control the buttons, so you know. Anyways, let's go ahead and jump into the factoid today. But before we do that, Tshroom, I want to look at these people in the eye and say, why have you not joined the free Discord yet?
Oh, wow.
All right. Let's go ahead and jump into the factoid.
That was really
right.
zoomed in. I apologize.
Those are very, very blue eyes.
Brought to you by Decrypted.tax. All right, let's jump right on into it. We are talking about Rose Garden because, I mean, as you guys know, there's going to be an event here at the Rose Garden shortly. So let's dive right on into it. Which of these animals once caused chaos in the Rose Garden during a press event? A squirrel. B, a goose. C, a raccoon. Or D, a bee swarm. And as you can see, they're all represented in the Studio Ghibli style.
Yeah.
Check out ChatGPT's new AI model and make your new Studio Ghibli picture. Please don't.
Option
It's actually
E.
making it go so slow. I hate it.
Yeah. Option E is a small posse of diverse children.
I'm definitely
Okay.
I'm definitely going I'm definitely going goose. I'm going goose.
Yeah, I was leaning towards B, goose as well. That sounds about right. We'll double up on this one, Tshroom. We'll go B, a goose. Let us know in chat. What do you guys think? What is
All
the right
right.
answer here?
All right. Drum roll effect. There we go. Boom.
Oh, wow. That was anticlimactic. A bee swarm.
A
There we
bee
go.
swarm. And Tshroom, go ahead and take my screen off for just a second. I do have visual aid here that I would like to show. Let me hold on. See, I'm not controlling this stuff, guys. Come on. All right, go ahead and share my screen again. Here's what we have here. If you guys can hear.
Oh, wow.
Oh, no, it's a bee. That's okay, guys. Bees are good. They won't land on you.
That's not true.
They won't
Bees are
sting
not
you.
good. They absolutely will land on you.
Wait.
Now all the children are screaming and running.
That's pretty funny. I didn't know that.
These are smart children.
Hold on.
All right, you can go ahead and take that down. But just want to show you guys, this actually did in fact happen. And so now,
That's great.
guys, I'm looking forward to hopefully there is another swarm of bees at this event. That would be hilarious. Liberation Day interrupted by the bees. That
Oh,
would
man.
be
Wow.
so fun. Anyways, that's all from me.
200% tariffs on honey.
All right.
All right.
Real quickly. Yeah, how is it coming? How's the press conference looking? Is anyone got the cameras up and ready to go?
Yeah,
it's supposed
let's
to be coming any minute now.
It's a good question, Tim. Let's go on over into our live coverage cam of the Rose Garden address brought to you all by LuxAlgo. It will begin shortly. You can see up there in the top right-hand corner, we are on the whitehouse.gov website. Also, multiple other sources of the stream that can be pulled up. But right now, Bitcoin over on the charts, cruising at right around 86,700, getting a nice little bid before the stream starts. Bitcoin. Could this be the moment where it dislocates from the NASDAQ and starts to shoot higher if equities pull back? That could be a big moment. So be watching for that.
Absolutely. Well, let's do this. While we're waiting on that to come in, let's check out what's happening on the charts. I told you guys here a little bit ago, I do want to look for, and if we start to take off while this is going live early, I'm not going to want to enter this long to the downside, right? If the early part of this press conference, Bitcoin starts to go back up, if it starts to fall, I'm looking for a short position, right? What I would really like to see is early in the press conference, get this drop down into my position here, around 85,900. I will be going into this manually. You'll see me while we're live. I'll be going back and forth with Blofin. Blofin is our trading partner here at the Investing Bros. If you want to sign up with a Blofin link, go sign up with the link down below. Deposit $1,000 or more, and you get free access to our trade setups channel, where me and several other pro traders are dropping our trades of the day. And again, going extremely well here last week and a half when we were doing way more scalps, way more day trading. We always have some good swing trades from time to time that have good work, good playouts as well. But right now, it's scalping and day trading is the name of the game. Bitcoin bouncing here very, very nicely. What I'm watching here, if you guys are wondering why 85.9, let's start here on the 1 minute chart, and we're gonna kind of work up some things. We're overextended on lower time frames, like the 1 minute's overextended, the 5 minutes overextended. But what I'm kind of watching for on maybe the 15-minute and 5-minute, I would really like to see potentially a little bit of a bullish divergence come in where the price action goes a little bit lower. Maybe the RSI stays a little bit higher. We have not quite gotten that. In fact, I don't know if this is the 15 minutes, more like the 10-minute. I think I want to see that happen on. So I just want to kind of go a little bit lower here. I don't know if we're going to get that, though, with how this RSI has not spiked up very well here. 10-minute MACD is about to get a bullish cross, but nothing official just there. My big reason for not entering earlier, there was a moment where I considered this 86.2. Hindsight's 2020. Looks like it would have been a good entry. But when you come here and you take a look at some different time frames, liquidations, almost nothing said that would be the stopping point, right? We have some coming here at 85.8 on the 10 minute. If you go to the 1 minute, this is where I kind of selected and said, hey, I really want to keep my eye down here. There's a big swarm of liquidations that have been stacking up even more to the downside. But you do see down here towards 85.8, 85.9. That is where we have picked up. Man, oh, I just moved everything. Goodness gracious. That's the one problem is there you go. You see some bright yellow coming in right there. We do have some bright yellow coming in right there at 85,900. That's my target zone. I want to make sure in case it drops to 85.5 that I'm still in the trade. So I do have a stop loss at 85.4. To the upside. Why to the upside 88K? Well, guess where we have heavy liquidations, heavy shorts will be liquidated right there up towards $88,000. So we've used some long-term support and resistance. We've used, Luxago, buy signals, what's overextended, what's not overextended. When are we going to be sitting in a good spot? But long story short, with those liquidations, do not be surprised in a volatile move like this to see the price shoot very quickly in different directions. Then we get that shot at 85.9 and we get a nice bounce there. I will be looking for a long position. If we lose our stop loss, I will look for a bounce back up and potentially look for a short, and we'll manage all that live during the press conference. It does look like the cameras are live. People are there. No orange man just yet. No man coming out to the press conference, but Tshroom, while we wait to kind of see what's happening there, let's get some expectations from you. I think earlier in the show, I kind of gave you my opinion, what to expect here from the Rose Garden address. What are you expecting to hear in this press conference?
I'm expecting to hear a whole lot about this list here. You've got Argentina, Israel, Vietnam, Canada, and India. This is a list of countries that have gone ahead and canceled. They have announced that they will be canceling their tariffs on the United States, or a good portion of their tariffs in the case of India, offered to discuss easing tariffs on $23 billion of U.S. imports, potential deal by the end of the year. Canada committed to dropping tariffs on U.S. goods.
By the way, you are sharing my screen,
I know, I'm aware.
Okay,
this is trust me, this is the best way to do this at this point in time.
Make sure.
Vietnam committed to eliminating tariffs on all American goods. Argentina reportedly removed all tariffs on U.S. goods, and Israel did the same as well. So a little bit of shades of gray when it comes to India, not so fast to make the full commitment, but working on a deal. The rest of the countries going ahead and making that commitment. I think that's what Americans and investors want to see today. They want to see Orange Man come out and really applaud those commitments and expect more of them. Say, hey, this is what's going to happen. What's going to happen? All of the tariffs on Vietnam, Israel, Canada, and Argentina, and potentially India as well, they will be removed. And immediately see that and see operators and producers in Argentina out competing Brazilian operators that do not that are in a country that will not remove their tariffs. I think that's what he really needs to highlight in this conference coming up. But that's kind of what I'm thinking. I'm also expecting a bit of downside during this press conference. I think he's going to say some things that show a backbone, which we haven't seen from the White House in a little while. It's going to show a little bit of a backbone and a little bit of a preference towards the American people rather than the stock market, right? And that hurts to say because I'm an investor, right? I like being long risk. I am long risk. I have not divested for this event, right? So it hurts for me to say that, but as an American, right, I can understand the plight of the average American.
Tshroom, it looks like people are saying he's walking to the podium. Do you see that?
Yeah, let's go check it out here. Let's go make sure. I don't see that yet.
Okay.
Yes, I do. Here we go.
Could just be trolls, but okay. There we go.
For decades, our country has been looted, pillaged, raped, and plundered by nations near and far, both friend and foe alike. American steel workers, auto workers, farmers, and skilled craftsmen. We have a lot of them here with us today. They really suffered gravely. They watched in anguish as foreign leaders have stolen our jobs, foreign cheaters have ransacked our factories, and foreign scavengers have torn apart our once beautiful American dream. We had an American dream that you don't hear so much about. You did 4 years ago, and you are now, but you don't too often, and for many years and decades even, you didn't hear too much about. Our country and its taxpayers have been ripped off for more than 50 years, but it is not going to happen anymore. It's not going to happen. In a few moments, I will sign a historic executive order instituting reciprocal tariffs on countries throughout the world. Reciprocal, that means they do it to us and we do it to them. Very simple, can't get any simpler than that. This is one of the most important days, in my opinion, in American history. It's our declaration of economic independence. For years, hardworking American citizens were forced to sit on the sidelines as other nations got rich and powerful, much of it at our expense. But now it's our turn to prosper, and in so doing, use trillions and trillions of dollars to reduce our taxes and pay down our national debt, and it'll all happen very quickly. With today's action, we are finally going to be able to make America great again, greater than ever before. Jobs and factories will come roaring back into our country, and you see it happening already. We will supercharge our domestic industrial base. We will pry open foreign markets and break down foreign trade barriers. And ultimately, more production at home will mean stronger competition and lower prices for consumers. This will be indeed the golden age of America. It's coming back, and we're going to come back very strongly. We're pleased to be joined on this momentous occasion by Vice President J.D. Vance. J.D., thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Where are you, J.D.?
Haven't heard anything crazy here just yet. We'll get bearish, so this
That
is a good
wasn't
dip.
too hard to find. I was looking, you know, he likes to take a low-key attitude, so it'd usually be sit right in front. He's gaining a lot of confidence, Mike, isn't he? And nearly my entire cabinet is here, as well as Speaker Mike Johnson, who's done an amazing job. And with the great success we had last night in Florida, we have a majority of 7. And 7's like a lot when we had it at 1, right? You've done a fantastic job. And many of the members of the House and Senate are with us. Senators, Congressmen, thank you all for being with us. We appreciate it. For decades, the United States slashed our trade barriers on other countries, while those nations placed massive tariffs on our products and created outrageous non-monetary barriers to decimate our industries. And in many cases, the non-monetary barriers were worse than the monetary ones. They manipulated their currencies, subsidized their exports, stole our intellectual property, imposed exorbitant VAT taxes to disadvantage our products, adopted unfair rules and technical standards, and created filthy pollution havens. They were absolutely filthy, but they always came to us and they said, we're violating, we should pay for it. It's all detailed in a very big report by the U.S. Trade Representative on Foreign Trade Barriers, and I'll just hold it up for you. It's available, and you don't have to pay too much. As I understand it, you'll pay nothing. It's a lot of work for something, actually, because it's a special book. It's very, frankly, it's very upsetting when you read it, when you see what people have been doing to us for 30 years. This all happened with no response from the United States of America, none whatsoever. But those days are over. Let me offer just a few examples of the vicious attacks our workers have faced for so many years. The United States charges other countries only a 2.4 tariff on motorcycles. Meanwhile, Thailand and others are charging much higher prices, like 60%. India charges 70%. Vietnam charges 75%, and others are even higher than that. Likewise, until today, the United States has for decades charged a 2.5 tariff. Think of that, 2.5% on foreign-made automobiles.
Volatility.
The European Union charges us more than 10% tariffs, and they have 20% VATs, much, much higher. India charges 70%, and perhaps worst of all are the non-monetary restrictions imposed by South Korea, Japan, and very many other nations. As a result of these colossal trade barriers, 81% of the cars in South Korea are made in South Korea. 94% of the cars in Japan are made in Japan. Toyota sells 1 million foreign-made automobiles into the United States, and General Motors sells almost none. Ford sells very little. None of our companies are allowed to go into other countries.
Pumping.
And I say that, friend and foe. And in many
Look for
cases,
short
the
up
friend
here.
is
You
worse
get
than
it.
the foe in terms of trade. But such horrendous imbalances have devastated our industrial base and put our national security at risk. I don't blame these other countries at all for this calamity. I blame former presidents and past leaders who weren't doing their job. They let it happen, and they let it happen to an extent that nobody can even believe. That's why, effective at midnight, we will impose a 25% tariff on all foreign-made automobiles.
He's just reading us last week's headlines.
Brian, I'd like to have you come up here for a second, okay? I just see him sitting. He's been a fan of ours, and he understands this business a lot better than the economists, a lot better than anybody. Brian, say a few words, please, would you?
Well,
Thank you. It's a great honor to have you. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. President. I grew up just north of Detroit, Michigan, in Macomb County, known as the home of the Reagan Democrats. My first vote for president was for Ronald Reagan. I thought that was going to be the best president I ever saw in my lifetime until Donald J. Trump came along. I have watched my entire life, I have watched plant after plant after plant in Detroit and in the Metro Detroit area close. There are now plants sitting idle. There are now plants that are underutilized, and Donald Trump's policies are going to bring product back into those underutilized plants. There's going to be new investment. There's going to be new plants built. And the UAW members, and I brought 20 of them with me, they're sitting right over here. We support Donald Trump's policies on tariffs 100%. So, Mr. President, we can't thank you enough. And in 6 months or a year, we're going to begin to see the benefits. I can't wait to see what's happening 3 or 4 years down the road. Thank you, Mr. President.
What a great guy. He got it right from the beginning. He got it before almost anybody else. This group over there, they got it too. And, you know, we won the state of Michigan. We won almost all of them. But we won Michigan by a lot, and I want to just thank you all. The auto workers were fantastic. The Teamsters were fantastic. Everyone was pretty good, I will tell you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. You're going to be very happy very soon, and you probably see what's happening with all of the, not only car companies, but car companies in particular. You see it with all of the ones they're moving, they're announcing day in, day out. You're seeing it. Nobody's ever seen anything like that. With today's actions, we're also standing up for our great farmers and ranchers who are brutalized by nations all over the world. Brutalized. Canada, by the way, imposes a 250 to 300% tariff on many of our dairy products. They do the first can of milk. They do the first little carton of milk at a very low price, but after that it gets bad, and then it gets up to 275, 300%. So when they're figuring what's Canada charging, they say, oh, about 2%, 3%. But take a look at what happens down the road. When you look a little bit, it's not a pretty picture, and we don't like it, and it's not fair. It's not fair to our farmers. It's not fair to our country. And with countries like Canada, you know, we subsidize a lot of countries and keep them going and keep them in business. In the case of Mexico, it's $300 billion a year. In the case of Canada, it's close to $200 billion a year. And I say, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? I mean, at what point do we say you got to work for yourselves, and you got to? This is why we have the big deficits. This is why we have that amount of debt that's been placed on our heads over the last number of years, and we're really not taking it anymore. Through non-tariff barriers, the European Union bans imports of most American poultry. You understand? They say, we want to send you our cars, we want to send you everything, but we're not going to take anything that you have. Australia bans, and they're wonderful people and wonderful everything, but they ban American beef, yet we imported $3 billion of Australian beef from them just last year alone. They won't take any of our beef. They don't want it because they don't want it to affect their farmers. And you know what? I don't blame them, but we're doing the same thing right now, starting about midnight tonight, I would say. And China charges American rice farmers an overquota, it's called, a tariff rate of 65%. South Korea charges 50, actually they charge different, from 50% to 513%. And Japan, our friend, charges us 700%. But that's because they don't want us selling rice and other things. Who can blame them, Madam Secretary? Agriculture, great job you did on eggs, by the way. The egg prices came down 50%. You got them down 50% once we got involved. They were going through the sky. The egg prices, they were going through the sky, and you did a fantastic job. Now we have lots of eggs, and they're much cheaper, down about 59% now, and they're going down further. We charge 2.8% for so many things that other countries are charging 200%, 300%, and 400% for. If imposing tariffs and protective barriers made nations poor, then every country on earth would be racing to eliminate these policies, and China would be the first on line. They run a very strong country, but they're not first in line, and the American people are paying a very big price. From 1789 to 1913, we were a tariff-backed nation, and the United States was proportionately the wealthiest it has ever been. So wealthy, in fact, that in the 1880s, they established a commission to decide what they were going to do with the vast sums of money they were collecting. We were collecting so much money so fast, we didn't know what to do with it. Isn't that a nice problem to have? What do you think, Marco? Good problem? Marco would love that problem. But we don't have that problem anymore, but we're not going to have it very much longer, I will tell you. But they collected so much money, they actually formed a commission to determine what they were going to do with the money, who they were going to give it to, and how much. Then in 1913, for reasons unknown to mankind, they established the income tax so that citizens, rather than foreign countries, would start paying the money necessary to run our government. Then in 1929, it all came to a very abrupt end with the Great Depression, and it would have never happened if they had stayed with the tariff policy. It would have been a much different story. They tried to bring back tariffs to save our country, but it was gone. It was gone. It was too late. Nothing could have been done. It took years and years to get out of that depression, far longer than even FDR had that office right over there for a long period of time.
3 terms.
The ramp system, that's rather intricate, was built because of him, and every time you walk up, you think of him, and he did a great job in many ways, but it lasted long beyond his terms, as you know. But it's not too late any longer, and we're going to start being smart, and we're going to start being very wealthy again. We're going to be wealthy as a country because they've taken so much of our wealth away from us. We're not going to let that happen. We truly can be very wealthy. We can be so much wealthier than any country. It's not even believable, but we're getting smart. Nearly a century later, in the face of unrelenting economic warfare, the United States can no longer continue with a policy of unilateral economic surrender. We cannot pay the deficits of Canada, Mexico, and so many other countries. We used to do it. We can't do it anymore. We take care of countries all over the world. We pay for their military. We pay for everything they have to pay, and then when you want to cut back a little bit, they get upset that you're not taking care of them any longer. But we have to take care of our people, and we're going to take care of our people first, and I'm sorry to say that. And today we're standing up for the American worker, and we are finally putting America first. In Sleepy Joe Biden's last year in office, the United States hemorrhaged 100,000 manufacturing jobs, and the number was going through
Crypto as a
the
whole
roof
is like
at
identical
levels never
charts.
seen before. And our trade deficit reached a record $1.2 trillion, which is unheard of. Since the beginning of NAFTA, the worst trade deal ever made. It was a horror show. I was able to terminate it. They all said you'd never be able to get it out. We had to get approval from Congress to get it terminated. We had to live with that deal. It was the worst trade deal ever made by far. But since the very beginning of NAFTA, our country lost 90,000 factories. Think of what that is, 90,000. Think about putting a map up and putting
Good amount.
tax on it. You wouldn't have enough room. 90,000. I said, is that possible? We had it checked 4 different times, and it was actually somewhat higher than that. And 5 million manufacturing jobs were lost while racking up trade deficits of $19 trillion. That was the worst trade deal ever made. As a result of these gigantic losses, foreign nations now own $26 trillion more of American assets than think of this, than the Americans own of their own foreign assets or other foreign assets. The United States can no longer produce enough antibiotics to treat our sick. We have a tremendous problem. We have to go to foreign countries to treat our sick. If anything ever happened from a war standpoint, we wouldn't be able to do it. We import virtually all of our computers, phones, televisions, and electronics. We used to dominate the field, and now we import it all from different countries. A single shipyard in China now produces more ships every year than all of the American shipyards combined. Think of that. And it was a business that we used to dominate. We used to dominate it totally. In short, chronic trade deficits are no longer merely an economic problem. They're a national emergency that threatens our security and our very way of life. It's a very great threat to our country. And for these reasons, starting tomorrow, the United States will implement reciprocal tariffs on other nations. It's been a long time since we even thought of that. We used to think about it a lot. We didn't think about it for many decades, and you see what's happened. For nations that treat us badly, we will calculate the combined rate of all their tariffs, non-monetary barriers, and other forms of cheating. And because we are being very kind, we're kind people, very kind. You're not so kind when you got ripped off with your salaries. My auto worker friends and my Teamster friends and all of the unions that typically voted Democrat, they're not voting Democrat anymore because worker, whether union or non-worker, they're for the Republicans now. That's what happened. But we will charge them approximately half of what they are and have been charging us. So the tariffs will be not a full reciprocal. I could have done that, yes, but it would have been tough for a lot of countries who didn't want to do that. I'd like to see the chart if you have it. Could you bring it up, Howard?
Tim's got the chart up already.
Yeah, I got you right here, buddy.
Secretary of
Right.
Commerce, Howard Lutnick. Thanks, Howard. So if you look at that, China, first row, China, 67%. That's tariffs charged to the USA, including currency manipulation and trade barriers. So 67%, I think you can, for the most part, see it. Those with good eyes, with bad eyes. We didn't want to bring, it's very windy out here. We didn't want to bring out the big charts because it had no chance of standing.
The big charts.
Fortunately, we came armed with a little smaller chart. So it's 67%, so we're going to be charging a discounted reciprocal tariff of 34%. I
Not
think,
what I wanted here.
in other words, they charge us, we charge them less, so how can anybody be upset? They will be because we never charge anybody anything.
Oh,
Now we're going to charge.
that's big. They're not matching it dollar
European
for dollar.
Union, they're very tough, very, very tough traders. You know, you think of European Union, very friendly. They rip us off. It's so sad to see. It's so pathetic. 39%, we're going to charge them 20%, so we're charging them essentially half. Vietnam, great negotiators, great people. They like me, I like them. The problem is they charge us 90%. We're going to charge them 46% tariff. Taiwan, where they took all of our computer chips and semiconductors. We used to be the king, right? We were everything. We had all of it. Now we have almost none of it, except the biggest company is coming in. We're going to end up with almost 40%. Lee Zeldin's working to get their approvals. And it's an amazing company. Mr. Wei, of one of the great companies of the world, actually. They're coming in from Taiwan, and they're going to build one of the biggest plants in the world, maybe the biggest for that. But 64%,
Crazy
we're going to charge them
crazy.
32%. Japan, very, very tough, great people. And again, I don't blame the people for doing it. I think they're very smart in doing it. I blame the people that sat right in that Oval Office, right over there, right behind the Resolute desk or whichever desk they chose.
Bitcoin's kind of showing that
Japan,
it wants strong
46%.
tariffs.
They would charge us 46%,
It
and
wants
much higher for certain items
tariffs.
like cars.
It just wants the
Little items like
volatility.
cars.
It just dumped on showing
46%.
lower
We're
tariffs.
charging them 24%. India, very,
It's
very tough.
misdirection.
Very, very tough. The prime minister just left, and he's a great friend of mine. But I said, "You're a friend of mine, but you're not treating us right." They charge us 52%. You have to understand, we charge them almost nothing for years and years and decades. And it was only 7 years ago when I came in, we started with China and charged them. We took in hundreds of billions of dollars from China in tariffs. And they understood, honestly. President Xi understood. He said, "Look, I understand." And the other countries, and they all understand. We're going to have to go through a little tough love, maybe, but they all understand. They're ripping us off, and they understood it. Prime Minister of Japan, Shinzo Abe. He was a fantastic man. He was unfortunately taken from us, assassination. But I went to him and I said, "Shinzo, we have to do something. A trade is not fair." And he said, "I know that. I know that." And he was a great gentleman. He was a fantastic man, but he understood immediately what I was talking about. I said, "Shinzo, we have to do something." He said, "I know that." And we worked out a deal, and it would have been a much better deal, but frankly, there were many years left on the deal that was made previous to my getting there, but it was something. If you look at Switzerland, 61% to 31%. Indonesia, Malaysia, Cambodia. Oh, look at Cambodia, 97%. We're going to bring it down to 49. They made a fortune with the United States of America. United Kingdom, 10%, and we'll go 10%. So we'll do the same thing. South Africa, 60%, 30%, and they've got some bad things going on in South Africa. You know, we're paying them billions of dollars, and we cut the funding because a lot of bad things are happening in South Africa. The fake news ought to be looking at it. They don't want to report it. Brazil, 10%, 10%. Bangladesh is 74%. So you see what's going on. Pakistan, 58%. Sri Lanka, 88%. So what we're doing is we're taking not the full, we could take the full 88%. Thanks a lot, Aaron. He's doing a very good job. How's he doing, all right?
It's interesting. So they're
I think
like
you better
coming
take
in
it
at
with you. It's
half
not going to last very long.
for a lot of them.
He's going to put it, it's going to follow
Expecting
you
the
down with the
countries
wind.
to match it down to
I
half.
brought a hat just in case it got too windy, but here, would
Somebody's
anybody like a
put some
hat?
thought into this.
I'm not giving it to a cabinet. I'm giving it to the auto workers. Come here.
We get some merch.
Wow.
Thank you, fellas. Get it. That's it. That's it.
All right.
How's the
They
S&P?
deserve it
Like,
more than our
what the index
cabinets.
is doing?
Yeah, let's take a look there. I'm
Our
just
cabinet
got
has
that
plenty
pricing
of
on the 1
hats.
minute.
But you
Looking
see
for a
the
move back up towards 88.
numbers. The numbers are so disproportionate. They're so
The
unfair.
S&P 500 is close.
At the same time, we will
Tesla's
establish
down,
a
but-
minimum baseline tariff of 10%. You notice that on the chart? And that'll
not
be
for
on
sure.
other countries to help rebuild our economy and to prevent cheating. So we're going to have a minimum of cheating, and we're going to be very severe on the people that at the gate that watch the tariffs and watch the product coming in, because there's been a lot of bad things happening at the gate because the money is so enormous that you're talking about. There's never been probably anything like it in terms of the enormity, and there are a lot of bad things happen at the people that do the check-in, and they're looking at 10-year jail sentences if they do play. We're going to treat them so good, but if they cheat, the repercussions are going to be extremely strong. Foreign nations will finally be asked to pay for the privilege of access to our market, the biggest market in the world. We're right now the biggest market in the world. We had a great country 4 years ago in terms of the economics. We were doubling up on China. We were doing so well. Nobody was going to catch us, but so much of it slipped away over the last 4 years under Biden. I campaigned on this policy throughout last year, and today that promise was made, and it was also a promise, as you know, that was kept. Promises made, promises kept. To any company that objects to our common sense reciprocal tariffs, again, reciprocal, back and forth, back and forth. And I call this kind reciprocal. This is not full reciprocal. This is kind reciprocal. But What we do is we cut it in half. We charge them. My answer is very simple. If they complain, if you want your tariff rate to be zero, then you build your product right here in America, because there is no tariff if you build your plant, your product in America. And we've seen companies coming in like we've never seen before. Likewise to all of the foreign presidents, prime ministers, kings, queens, ambassadors, and everyone else who will soon be calling to ask for exemptions from these tariffs. I say, terminate your own tariffs, drop your barriers, don't manipulate your currencies. They manipulate their currencies like nobody can even believe, which is a bad, bad thing and very devastating to us. And start buying tens of billions of dollars of American goods. Tariffs give our country protection against those that would do us economic harm. And many people were looking to do us economic harm. Maybe not so obviously, but they were doing tremendous economic harm. But even more importantly, they will give us growth. These tariffs are going to give us growth like you haven't seen before. And it'll be something very special to watch. I am so looking forward. And Brian, it's going to happen even faster than you said. You know, you might say, but it's already started. It's already started. Work's already begun on plants all around the country. And you see that as before. These are big, rich companies. We have $61 billion started on a big plant going up. It's going to be announced over the next 2 days, and they already started work. Many of these the biggest companies in the world, they've committed to build, build, build. We're going to build, 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 sir. And they came here to see me, and they wanted to know if they could have a press conference. I do as many as I can. I'm pretty busy trying to stop Russia and Ukraine and the Middle East. We got to stop that. We got to stop the Houthis, which we're making tremendous. They like shooting ships down and out of the water, sinking ships. They get a kick out of it, but they're not getting such a kick out of it now, are they, Mr. Secretary? They're not getting such a kick out of that now. But here are just a short list of some of the companies that have already announced and committed to investment. And this is a company that built its factories and its plants in China. Apple is going to spend $500 billion. They never spent money like that here. They're going to build their plants here.
Wow.
SoftBank, OpenAI, and Oracle, great companies, are investing $500 billion almost immediately. NVIDIA, a hot company, is investing hundreds of billions of dollars. They just announced. TSMC, the biggest, most important company in the world of chips from Taiwan, with no investment from us, is investing $200 billion. And they said the reason was, number one, the election of November 5th, and number two, the tariffs. They don't want to pay the tariffs, and the way they're not paying it is to build their plant here. So we're going to go from almost.
So this is all repeated. So just some quick analysis on this. It is a very big deal that they are not going the full reciprocal tariff. So
yeah,
that's just been tweeted out on the Investing Bros account. A picture of that graph of those charts. It's a very strange way.
Want to share your screen real quickly while you look at that?
Yeah, I can try to do that.
Oh, you can.
Meta is investing $500 billion. Wow. The Mac is investing $20 billion. CMA, CGM, $20 billion. And then you have Merck and Clarios, Stellantis, General Motors, GE Aerospace, Honda, Nissan, Hyundai are all putting in billions and billions of dollars, and they're committed 100%. So we've never had, and this is after 2.5 months. This is after just a short, this all took place as soon as we came out with what?
So again, this is all being repeated. We'll go back because he may say some more breaking news, but these are the tariff rates. Now there's 4 different charts. This is just a handful of countries, looks like about 15 to 20. China, currently tariffs the United States. This is also looks like it's taking into account currency manipulation, which, that's complicated, but China, the number is 67%. We're only doing 34%. European Union, 39%. We're only doing 20%. The only region that is being tariffed at the exact same rate is the United Kingdom, which is at 10%, a low rate compared to the rest of these. So I think the market is going to continue to be volatile. It's easy to say that, but I think like this, I don't believe this is priced in at this point in time. So I think the market is in real time trying to price in what this means, and there's a lot of granularity because it's not all uniform. So, yeah, Tim, what do you think about that?
Let's go back to him. Let's see what he's saying here, and we'll talk a little bit afterwards.
Even split. But we have, so far, it looks like we're going to have about $6 trillion of investments, and you wouldn't do that in years in this country over the last number of years. $6 trillion, and that's going to be much higher by the end of the year. And think of what $6 trillion is. You wouldn't have even a small percentage of that under this other system. We're going to be an entirely different country, and it's going to be fantastic for the workers. It's going to be fantastic for everyone. There will never have been a transformation of a country like the transformation that's already happening in the United States of America. It's an incredible thing to watch, and it's incredible to meet with the top people that you read about, very wealthy people or people that are great managers and executives and presidents of big public companies, and to watch the enthusiasm they have now that they didn't have. They gave up on our country. They went to foreign countries and they built. Companies are pouring into our country at levels never seen before with jobs and money to follow, and it's really beautiful. In the coming days, there will be complaints from the globalists and the outsourcers and special interests and the fake news. Always, the fake news will always complain. But never forget, every prediction our opponents made about trade for the last 30 years has been proven totally wrong. They were wrong about NAFTA. They were wrong about China. They were wrong about the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which would have been a disaster if I didn't terminate it. If I didn't terminate that, United Auto Workers, you would have had no jobs in this country. You would have had no jobs. It was all going to other countries. In my first term, they said tariffs would crash the economy. Instead, we built the greatest economy in the history of the world. And again, I have great respect for President Xi of China, great respect for China, but they were taking tremendous advantage of us, and I commend them for that. I say, hey, if you can get away with it, that's okay. But, you know, they understand exactly what's happening, and they probably, most of them are saying it's about time they did something, but, and they're going to fight, and they're going to fight fair. Everyone's going to fight. You know, it's like, I say to the leaders, look, you got to take care of your country, but we have to start taking care of our country now. We can't do what we've been doing for the last 50 years. From the day of my election, the stock market went up in my first term 88%, with NASDAQ going up 155%, more than any president has ever had in any term in office, by far. And I think we're going to blow that away. And maybe the numbers won't show, but I think they're going to show much better than even those numbers. But what you're going to see is you're going to see activity, that empty, dead sites, factories that are falling down. Those factories will be knocked down, and they're going to have brand new factories built in their place. They're not only talking about renovating, they're talking about brand new, the best anywhere in the world, the biggest anywhere in the world. I have a friend who builds car plants, and I said, I want to see the biggest and the best. He said, well, we have to go to Mexico. I said, no, I want to see it in the United States. He said, we're not building them in there. This is a year and a half ago during the campaign. He said, we're not building it. You'd have to go to Mexico. When I was starting to decide to run, and I went to number one in the polls very rapidly, I want to say, like, let's say in the first hour. And then shortly thereafter, it looked like I was going to win, and the fake news was saying, oh, no, don't do this. What they don't know is if I didn't win, they would have really been in trouble, because nobody wants to read them anyway. But I tell you what, when it looked like I was going to win, I announced that I was going to be doing exactly what we're talking about today. Great consistency, actually, because I've been talking about it for 40 years, but because I saw what was happening 40 years ago. If you look at my old speeches when I was young, very handsome, my old speeches, and that people would say, I'd be on a television show, I'd be talking about how we were being ripped off by these countries. I mean, nothing changes very much. The only thing that changed were the countries, but nothing really changes. But it's why it's such an honor. It's such an honor to be finally able to do this. If you look at China, I took in hundreds of billions of dollars in my term, hundreds of billions. They never paid 10 cents to any other president, and yet they paid hundreds of billions, so much so that Biden couldn't do anything. They wanted to try and terminate it because he had a very special relationship with China. You know what the relationship was? He had a special relationship. But the numbers were so big, that they couldn't do it. So they did ease it up. They did things that they shouldn't have done. They made it a lot more comfortable for them, but they couldn't do it because the numbers were hundreds of billions of dollars, and I did that. And we were on our way to doing something like incredible. And then we had a very bad election happen, a very bad election. A lot of bad things happened. So when I said we got to do it again, I said we have to make it too big to rig. And we made it too big to rig, and we won in records, and it was a monumental win. And it was such an honor to see so many of you, like Brian and your friends, here with us to celebrate, and to more importantly celebrate what we're doing, because that wouldn't be a full celebration if we didn't do this, because this will be an entirely different country in a short period of time. It'll be something the whole world will be talking about it. The critics made the very tired predictions earlier this year, but in February, core inflation dropped to the lowest rate in 4 years. And the price of eggs, as you know, just in a month and a half, we were there for 4 weeks. And the first week, I got blamed for eggs. I said, I just got here. They said eggs have gone up at like 250%, and you can't get eggs. And they were going crazy. And I said, I just got here. And then we got to work on eggs, and we got to work on everything. And our great Secretary of Agriculture, you did a fantastic job. Brooke Rollins, she did a fantastic job. And as I said before, the price of eggs dropped now 59%, and they're going down more, and the availability is fantastic. They were saying that for Easter, please don't use eggs. Could you use plastic eggs? I said, we don't want to do that. We want to, and you really came through. It's an amazing job. Thank you very much, Brooke. You did great. But likewise, an old-fashioned term that we use, groceries. I used it in the campaign. It's such an old-fashioned term, but a beautiful term, groceries. It sort of says a bag with different things in it. Groceries went through the roof, and I campaigned on that. I talked about the word groceries for a lot, and energy costs now are down, groceries are down, gasoline is way under $3, and people are beginning to be able to buy things and live again. We brought prices way down. We created 10,000 already in a few weeks, new manufacturing jobs. And it was that took place in 1 month, numbers that they haven't seen in a long time. We had virtually no inflation under my term. We had virtually no inflation for 4 years, but after transitioning over to Sleepy Joe, it went from almost non-existent to the highest in the history of our country. They had the highest inflation in the history of our country, brought up by energy and bad spending and bad policy, and a lot of bad things happened. How about allowing millions and millions and millions of people to pour into our country with open borders, where it's so sad to see even now. And I see our great secretary you have done. Stand up, please, Christy. Stand up. Christy Noem and Tom Homan. These people are doing a great job, but gotten them out in records. We have problems with judges that don't want them to go out. They want Tren de Aragua, and they want MS-13, the most vicious gangs ever. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. Absolute killer gangs. They kill people. They don't even think about it. And we put them out, and we have judges now, radical left judges that they don't want them to go out. They want them to even be brought back. Let's bring them back. You've done a fantastic job, and please thank everybody. Homeland Security, thank everybody. Appreciate it. And we now have a border that's the best border that we've ever had, even better than it was my first term. My first term we did good, but this one we really specialized in. We've done really well. And we had records then. We had the best, safest border. 4 years ago, we had the best border there ever was. And now we have, you've actually matched it and done even better. And we're going to get it down the right way. And we want people, by the way, to come into our country, but we want to come in through a legal process. We want them to come in legally. We need more people. We need people to run these plants and to help the auto workers and the Teamsters and the non-union people and everybody else. But we need people and the farmers. And we're going to let people come in, but they want to come in. We want them to come in legally. They have to have the capability of loving our country, not people that hate our country. We don't want them in our country. And now we're going to pass the largest tax cuts in American history, and that's where we're relying on Mike and John Thune.
Okay.
And we will not cut Social Security, Medicare, or Medicaid benefits, and the Democrats will, because if they got in, the entire economy would collapse. This country was heading for a collapse under the people that you saw. They were horrible. I think one of the reasons people like the job, I have my highest approval ratings because I think they're comparing me to the worst administration in the history of our country, so I appreciate that at least. But Speaker of the House Mike Johnson and Senate Majority Leader, appreciate it, Mike. John Thune have been fantastic, by the way. But they've been working tirelessly on taking the next step to pass the plan for our one big, beautiful bill. I'd like to name it that if you can. One big, beautiful. I made that statement about 6 months ago, and everybody calls it one big, beautiful bill. And it will be that. It'll have everything, the big tax cuts and every incentive there is. And it'll be fantastic. And by the way, for the cars, we're asking for an interest deduction on a loan. So if you build the car, only in America we do it, Brian. If the car's not built in America, you don't get the interest rate deduction. But if you build the car in America, if you buy a car, if it's built in America, then you get an interest rate deduction, tax deduction, and that's a big thing. It's going to be a big.
I hope bros are paying for their cars in cash. Just saying.
Never happened. We've never had anything like that before. Somebody said, where did you get the idea? Because it's so basic. You would think that would have happened a long time ago. It never did, and I'm very happy it didn't because now I can say that was my idea. But we're going to get us closer to the debt extension. We have to get the debt extension passed, and I know you're going to be able to do that, Mike, and it's very important that you do that. And all of the other things that the Senate budget plan gives us, along with working, because I know they're working together, John and Mike, and the two bills are going very well together. We need to get our shared priorities done, including certain permanent tax cuts. We want the tax cuts to be permanent, spending cuts, energy and historic investments in defense, border, and so much more. We're covering everything. These will be phenomenal. There'll be no bill like this going to straighten. One bill is going to straighten out our country for many, many years to come. And we said, let's just do it and let's get it done. And some guys will love it and some guys will like it a little bit less because they're not getting what they were exactly looking for, but they're getting a lot. They'll never, if we get this done, it'll be the most incredible bill ever passed in the history of our Congress and Senate and congressmen, the senators and the congressmen, many of whom are here today, will be very proud of themselves. I really believe that it's going to set us on a whole new prosperous path. We're going to cut spending and right-size the budget back to where it should be. We're going to do that very strongly. Thank you, Rick. Thank you. John, thank you. Oh, look at all of our senators over there. Oh, boy, that's a nice group of people. But I won't like them so much if they don't get this bill done. That's a great group, and Congressman, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Tremendous people. The Senate plan is my complete and total support, and the House plan likewise is very similar. They're moving along pretty much at the same clip, and as soon as you're ready, you'll show it to me, and I'm sure it'll have my support, Mike. Every Republican congressman and senator must unify. We have to unify. We can't be separated. We have to get it done. We have to get absolutely everything we can, and we have to take care of the American people. That's the only thing that matters. We have to take care of the American people first. We need to pass this bill immediately, get it done, including debt extension. From this day on, we're not going to let anyone tell us that American workers and families cannot have the future that they deserve. We're going to produce the cars and ships, chips, airplanes, minerals, and medicines that we need right here in America. The pharmaceutical companies are going to become roaring back. They're coming roaring back. They're all coming back to our country because if they don't, they got a big tax.
Could you zoom out on the daily when you get a sec?
I'll be very happy, and you're going to be very happy, and you're going to be very safe. We're going to build our future with American hands with American heart, American steel, and we're going to build it with American pride
Hit
like
that
we used
resistance
to.
perfectly.
We're approaching our
Now it's about, can
100th
we,
day as
can we get back up
president
there?
and have been given it by a lot of people, actually, even some of the fake news. Can you believe it? Which in this case, hopefully, isn't fake, for having done more in that time than any other administration in the history of our country in the first 100 days. I think we've had an amazing, in terms of what we've done, what we've gotten accomplished. I'd like to see if we can get that war ended and another war from not starting in the Middle East. We have to get Russia. They're losing 2,000 on average, 2,500 people a day, young people, soldiers, Russian. Think of that, 2,500 through some days, but on average, probably over about a 1 week period, it's 2,712, they say. They're losing those soldiers. They're dying. They're being decimated. And they're not from our country, but they're from other countries, but they're human beings.
I think so. Smay is gone. I think he went to church.
He's gone. Yeah, he's
right?
been gone for a little bit. Yeah, youth group. He's volunteering at youth group.
President, that it shouldn't be allowed to go on. And I think we're being given good cooperation by Russia and by Ukraine, but we have to get it stopped. It's humanity. It's humanity. It's a terrible thing. This will be a very big moment. I think you're going to remember today. It's going to be a free nation that we're dealing with. We're going to have a very free and beautiful nation. It's going to be Liberation Day in America, and it's going to be a day that hopefully you're going to look back in years to come and you're going to say, you know, he was right. This has turned out to be one of the most important days in the history of our country. God bless you and God bless America. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Very interesting. Volatile, right? Volatile. I mean, we shot up. Did not get my entry I wanted on that long. We are in a long right now. I'm in blood. I'm very bloody right now in my long. I do think we can get a pop back up here as he's done speaking. Someone asked in chat, like, when are we going to start rallying again? I said, probably when he finishes speaking. As long as he speaks, we can stay pretty volatile. That 1 minute and 5 minute, both from a scalping perspective, they do look good, right? And we have targets. You go to my chart here real quickly. We could get as high as back to 87,200 before you're running into that 5 minute resistance. Again, here on the 1 minute chart, you know, we're still waiting on things to happen, but clear buy signal right in here. The 1 minute smart trail coming back to the upside. That's often a positive sign. It's often a sign that the markets are flipping and it wants to go back up. If you would come back here and you'd looked at liquidations, if you're wondering why we went this deep, I didn't think we were going to have to go this deep, but come back here, look at these prices back here, turn on liquidations, and then boom, that's what we chased right there, right? So that big liquidation, I thought we were going to be more in this world here, maybe somewhere in this world, but no, we took out this level here, 85.5. We went technically, I think, a little bit below it. Let's go back to where we are. Yeah, went to 85.2, but that was the big liquidation we chased there on those liquidations here. So let's see how this responds. Again, some bullishness here. No matter what we decide, if we want to go long-term bullish, long-term bearish out of this event, I'm expecting a little bit of bounce back after a pretty aggressive fall, after an aggressive rally, aggressive fall, bounce back up. You look at some other coins. I mean, crypto looks identical across the board here. That's Link for you right there. Shot up all the way to 1438, fell all the way back to 1359. We're making some moves here again. ONDO came down to that zone we kind of talked about, went a little lower towards 82 cents. Cardano shot up there to 70, now pulled back down to 67. It's making its way back up. So crypto as a whole, you know, very, very volatile move right there. We'll have to wait and see how things play out for probably the next couple of hours and into tomorrow before we'll really know exactly how the markets want to respond out of this. But like Tshroom said, you look at the macro right now, we have a wick above that pretty important resistance level. Can we reclaim this yellow box? Can we get back above 86.2? Can we get back above 86.3 and get back in that box and close a daily candle above that red line? All of a sudden, then we're talking about maybe later this week, tomorrow, Friday, tomorrow or Friday, getting back up here towards 91.5. Let's go off the charts here for a second, Tshroom. Let's just get your opinion overall. What you I think you had a lot of big takeaways there. You talked about in the middle some pretty significant details as far as who's getting the tariffs, who's not getting the tariffs, the severity of the tariffs. Tell me what's sticking out to you as the biggest takeaway from those details today.
Well, I think the biggest takeaway is that the market is handling this a lot better than I thought it would, right? We're talking about the strongest consumer economy on the globe that is essentially the source of revenue for most countries that have an export engine, that need to export in order to survive, right? Germany, Japan, South Korea, certainly China. We're talking about a moment in time where the script is being flipped, the board is being flipped. This is a very big moment. The fact that the stock market is not sweeping the local lows, Bitcoin isn't sweeping the local lows. We're green on the day for Bitcoin. We're not even seeing that much of a sell. We are seeing a sell-off on the equity side, but it's not that much. It just means that this was indeed baked in, right? I think we can't really trust exactly what we're seeing yet on the charts quite yet. I'm thinking probably Tuesday and Wednesday of next week is going to be really the telltale sign of what we can expect going forward, because the rest of this week now is going to be leaving the gravitational orbit of this event from the Rose Garden, the tariffs, and looking forward to Jerome Powell's speech on Friday. It's not a decision. It's just a speech from Jerome Powell. So this will be, but it'll be a significant speech more than likely. Now he knows, probably he already knew, but now he knows exactly what the public knows, what the market knows about the tariff list. And I think that brings me back to what I think is the most surprising, is that it's not a tit for tat. It's not 67% from China and 67% United States is matching that. They're coming in halfway. That gives, I mean, it's kind of a nice art of the deal type of style. It is gracious. It is nice, so to speak, to come in at halfway. But it is also a signal, right? Hey, things are changing. If you are dependent on U.S. consumption, you need to start diversifying your domestic industry, right? Saying that to Turkey, saying that to Brazil, saying that to China, to Japan, South Korea. You need to start modifying your industrial policies and providing incentives for a different trade mix in your country. And that is nice. that is also good for markets, right? Because there's going to be a time period where markets can adapt to this before the next phase, which is going to be the negotiation phase. Make no mistake, what we saw today is the beginning of the negotiation, not the end, right? These are the initial numbers, right? If I'm trying to buy your car from you, right, and you think it's worth 10 grand, I'm gonna come in and say, I'll give you $6 grand for it, right? That's the first number that's put on the table. That's not the number that's going to be settled at, in my opinion, right? We already have a couple of players at the table, Israel, Argentina, and a couple others that we already talked about, Vietnam, Canada, Israel, Argentina, and a little bit India, that have already played their cards. They're saying, hey, we're just going to completely remove our tariffs. Those countries, if they make good on that, they're going to be potentially some of the leading manufacturing hubs in the world, because they're still going to be able to produce it at a lower wage rate than the United States. All that to say, I think the market was not ready for, and this is actually should be bullish, right? The market wasn't ready. What we were being told was that it was going to be a percentage by percentage match. That's not what we got today. So there's going to be more volatility, though. There could be sell-offs. We've already seen the initial market reaction was a sell-off, right? And since early February, there's been a overall bearish sentiment in the market. Now, perhaps, not only do we get certainty, but we also get more bullish numbers than we thought we were going to get. So I think what Jerome says on Friday will kind of modify the tone and kind of re-steer the tone. But if I'm a global asset allocator at this point, this was bullish day. This is better than I was expecting. And I'd love to hear what you think about that, Tim.
Yeah, I think you're right on there. There's a lot of, people are going to say nothing burger. What he said in himself on the podium was a nothing burger. He kind of went through some headlines. He went through some things we already knew about. Yeah, he highlighted some details here and there, but I think that graph that you showed, Tshroom, was the big deal. I think that graph was the big story of which countries are getting what tariffs, and as a whole, again, I think some of it, there's areas we could look at and say, all right, that was a little worse than we expected. There's other areas you absolutely could look at and say that's a little better than we expected. As a whole, this is what we knew was going to happen one way or the other, though. He's serious about tariffs. He campaigned on it. Then now it's about, hey, what does the future look like, right? Does this end up working out? Does this end up failing? That's where everyone's going to be different here. And you guys know I have opinions I vocalized on this channel before about long-term tariffs. I'm very aware, though, there are people that could be very hurt by this in the short term. You know, how long is it going to take to get manufacturing to come back into the United States? That's not an overnight thing, right? If we could get all these companies up and running by tomorrow, all right, we might be able to ride this out very quickly. Some people think it's going to take years. Some people think it's going to take months. How long can we get the manufacturing happening in the United States to back this whole plan up? And what do we end up seeing? You know, he mentioned that one of the bullish moments during the press conference late was when he mentioned the tax cuts that were coming. Now, he never gave us exact details. He just talked about tax rates coming. Bitcoin rallied, tailed off, and now, of course, it's coming back down here a little bit. Might be getting some bullish divergence here in the next couple of minutes. But long story short, we still are left with a couple of question marks, but I don't think anyone expected us to know all the answers at the end of the day. How we close the day is going to be very important. How we close the daily candle, how we respond early tomorrow. That's going to be the big question on how we know what happens next. I see people in chat saying, Tim, is 74K still on the table? Is 70K still on the table? Heck yes, it is. We started the whole show off by saying, listen, right now, bullish structure, we could still fall below 80K and still be in some form of a bullish structure. The question is going to be which comes next, 90K or 74K will depend on how we respond the next couple of days. We're bleeding here right now. There we go. On a daily candle, we are blue. We are blue right now. Let's see how that one closes. Do we come down and close closer towards 84 with a massive wick above? That's going to be bearish. Can we close out over the next 3 hours, get back above 86 and, you know, have a white candle with just a little bit of a wick to the upside? We're still bullish. But if we start to bleed here pretty severely, if we lose 80K, 74, 72 still absolutely on the table with that 2 weekly sell signal and the smart trail coming in here. So anyone wondering, is that lower level on the table? Absolutely. Is the upper end part of this on the table? Is the 2 daily 91,500 on the table? Yes, it is. You know, these larger time frames barely affected by this recent press conference. Still had that buy signal. Still have a bullish candle on the 2 daily candle set here. So it's too early to freak out one way or the other. Let's watch how this responds the next couple of hours. Either way, though, April 2nd, you know, had a bang. I feel even if we close out blue here, I feel really good with how we expected April 2nd to play off. Let's see how the rest of the day goes. And with that said, Tshroom, I think that's going to wrap up our show for today. Come back tomorrow afternoon. We will not have live trading in the morning. It is going to be a day off for me and Tshroom in the morning. We'll be back at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. As always, running the show as normal. Let us know in the comments what your guys' thoughts are of this tariff announcement from the president. Smash that like button. Hit subscribe on your way out. We'll see you tomorrow. Adios.